This isn't something I usually do, but I do think it does need to be said like day zero, before any narratives have time to form and before anyone really does anything to try and downplay this release. Because I've seen a handful of people already try and go after Mario Tennis Fever. You know, Nathaniel Bandy tried to come out and say the adventure mode is only 4 hours long. Like, you know, as if that's like some kind of valid complaint for a sports game. You know, you have people coming out and complaining about the Mario Tennis game not having a fully fledged adventure mode like a 3D Mario game. Okay, you're seeing people like complain about the sport. You're seeing people complain about like the content. You're seeing people like do everything they possibly can to try and write this one off. And you know, after spending a couple of hours playing it, I can safely say this is a very, very good Mario Tennis game. Now, is it better than Mario Tennis Aces? I think that depends. Because I think Mario Tennis has like a higher skill ceiling, more complex mechanics that make it more entertaining for like a super hardcore like competitive scene. But at the same time, like I feel like not a lot of people really engage with those mechanics and really spend a lot of time with Mario Tennis Aces online mode at all. Like Fever is a bit more streamlined. It is a bit more simple, and I think considering the demographic and who this is like targeted towards, that probably was the right move, even if I'm not like a big fan of the changes. For me, I think the thing that's going to keep Fever relevant is the online mode. Because if you look at the online feature, you see it has like a pretty in-depth leaderboard. You see it has this like, you see it has a variety of different modes. You see that there's like all these different rankings and things you can do. It's very, very interesting, like, you know, popping online, playing a match, and then instantly matching with someone else, you know, like, you know, this has one of the biggest turnaround times of matches I've ever seen in my life, where you finish a match and you're instantly matched with someone else, and you're like playing a radically different game of tennis with a different character, with a different racket, okay? Like, and that's like the interesting thing about this. Like, the thing that really surprises me about Mario Tennis Fever is how radically different it is from Tennis Aces. Because I think in a lot of ways, Tennis Aces was kind of like a refinement over like Ultra Smash. Fever feels like a completely different game in a lot of ways. Like, the mechanics do feel a little bit different. Like, you're not like breaking each other's rackets the way you were in Aces, but you do have a lot more crazy powers. Okay, you have the ability to like, you know, equip rackets, and they all do really weird things, you know, with the fireballs, with ice. You know, you have one that creates a shadow clone that where you kind of have like two characters moving around at once. Like, it's crazy, you know, what comes out in these games. And it feels good. It feels satisfying. It feels fun to play, and it's endlessly entertaining. So, here's my thing about Mario Tennis Aces, Mario Tennis Fever. And the thing that really needs to be said is that this is an extraordinarily good tennis game, okay? Like, it's very good at, like, giving a fun twist on the sport. You know, you get a lot of great Mario coverage. You get a lot of really interesting, like, aspects to it. The cinematics, in particular, are gorgeous. You know, this was a very underrated aspect of Aces as well, is that, like, they put a lot of effort into the story mode, way more than you would expect from a game like this. And like, it's very, very interesting just seeing how they've managed to like completely change the way the game works and like how everything's set up. It's very, very interesting seeing like what they prioritize with this release, where like you do have like, you know, a ton of unlockable characters. They don't do the thing with Tennis Aces with the drip feed content updates. You know, you have like, you know, a ton of courses. You have a ton of rackets. You know, there's all this like content to unlock by playing the game, and it's just like, it's just a fun game to play. And that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand about this, is that like, as long as people are playing the online mode, there's always going to be reason to come back to this game. It's going to have an insane amount of replay value for anyone who wants to hop online and be competitive. And, you know, Camelot seems to know that. They have seemed to have understood, like, exactly what they want to do with the online play, and have really done quite a lot to kind of innovate and really, really establish what they want to do with this. Like, this is probably the best online mode we have seen out of the series thus far. I'm not an expert or anything, but like, I've been very shocked at just like the quality of it. I've been very surprised at how quick the matches are set up. And it's very surprising, like playing different people and seeing how radically different people play the game. And that's very interesting to me. Is that this is a game that honestly kind of feels like a fighting game in a lot of sense. Like I've heard people say the same thing about Strikers, but I think it's true for this one as well, where there's so much strategy involved, there's so much skill, and it's not something that's like readily apparent by just playing the single player modes, which honestly are just more of a tutorial than anything else. And again, the single player mode is high quality. There's plenty of things I like about it. It's a great way to like learn the game and get into it. But like, this is the sort of genre I think that going forward is going to primarily be focused on online features. That's probably what they need to focus on going forward, is expanding the online play and guaranteeing that people who pick this game up like constantly have people of their own skill level who will come in and play. And I do think they've done a pretty good job with the ranking system here. I couldn't put the game down personally. I actually just booted it up and played a couple of matches when I had no intention of doing so. It's remarkably good. It's very, very interesting to see like how well made this is and how much fun it is to play. It's something that I think I'm going to be coming back to all year. It's something I think I'm going to stick with for a long, long time. And I'm very, very curious at seeing just like if other people do the same, because this very well may spell the end of like the Mario sports game narrative, where so many people came out and tried to say these games have no content, there's no reason to come back to them, nobody likes these games, they don't feel like Mario games, and like this specific release, Mario Tennis Fever, it seems to be the one where that narrative seems to have fallen upon itself, right? Because traditionally the narrative was that like, well, they don't have single player content. This one does. Traditionally the narrative has been like, well, the online isn't good enough. This one does. People have been saying that like, well, like it's just tennis, and like, the fans are just like, well, what were you expecting from Mario Tennis? Like, and again, that's kind of like my mindset when I see like people criticizing this game. You are seriously seeing people criticize the story of a Mario Tennis game. You are seriously seeing people like try and compare this to like a mainline Mario platformer adventure. Okay. You're seeing people make all these unreasonable comparisons to other genres and other games when like it's just Mario Tennis. One of the things I've seen a lot of is people like Nintendo coming out and trying to say that like Nintendo's only putting out 7 out of 10s. Like Mario Tennis isn't going to move consoles, and I'm just kind of like, it doesn't really need to, honestly. Like Mario Tennis is a game that has a certain demographic that enjoy it and will pick it up on the console, Like, this isn't super complicated. This isn't, like, some mind-blowing thing. Like, they don't need to sell more consoles. They're selling plenty of those. Like, what they're trying to do is, like, make as many different kinds of games for as many different kinds of people as possible. And this is a very good example of what that means, is that they're making games that appeal to people who like tennis. That's it. There's no big conspiracy. There's no big cope. Like this is the reality of the situation, is that tennis is an extraordinarily popular sport, enjoyed and played by chads all over the world. Like, and this game is just a natural result of that sport. Like, again, this isn't like, and again, you keep seeing people do this thing where they're like, oh yeah, Camelot's doing this instead of making a new Golden Sun. Like, do you want Dark Dawn too? Okay, were you that big of a fan of that game? I'm just like, it's frustrating, okay? This is like the reoccurring thing we keep seeing from these people, is that like, oh yeah, how dare they make Mario Tennis when they can make something more serious instead, when Mario Tennis fulfills a much more specific niche than Golden Sun does. Nintendo has plenty of JRPGs. Camelot is dominating like the Mario and golf, the Mario Tennis and Mario Golf thing, and they should be sticking with what they're good at. There is nothing wrong with what Camelot is doing with these games.